Welcome to this tutorial on how to use parameters in order to create a dynamic heat map. Now, sometimes you create a heat map, but you only have one selection for rows and columns. And then maybe you would like to have another one. Let's say we have a heat map that shows amount by industry and by stage. Let's have a look. So if I added a stage here and if I added industry to the columns, and added the amount to the value section, you can simply create a very quick heat map in this fashion. But what if you wanted to see, instead of industry, lead source, and instead of stage, you wanted to see the type? That would mean that you would need to create exactly the same table, and you would most probably duplicate your sheet. And then you will replace your stage by type, and then you will replace your industry by lead source on top. And that is the way that you will create two different heat maps. But there's a better way to do this, and that is by using parameters. Let's have a look and see how we can do that. In order to do this, you need to first introduce two parameters, one for rows and one for columns. Let's start with the first one. Let's call this columns. I usually, here you would, the name that will appear, it will be a string. But when you are creating a list, and we are going to create a list for this parameter, I much prefer to use integer because it's easier to work with. So I will select integer, and on the list, you can add the value. So when it is 1, then I would like to have the value as industry. And then for 2, I would like to see lead source. And click OK. Now let's display this, show parameter, industry, and lead source. Now let's create our second parameter, and I will call this one rows. And similarly, I will set the data type as integer and make it as list. And for the first value, I will set stage. And for the second value, I will assign type. Okay. Let's show this parameter as well. Now you need to write a calculated field to activate these two parameters. So let's say select columns. This is the name of the created field that I am going to use. I am going to say case columns. And when it is 1, it is the value that we assign to that parameter, then we want an actual field to come and appear here. And that was, I think, industry. Industry field will appear. And then when 2, then we would like the value of resource to appear. And that would be end. Okay. Now let's replace my lead source by the new field that I created, and that is select columns. I'm going to drag and put it here. Now let's change the lead source to industry. And as you can see, you can very easily change the columns using this way. Let's write another calculated field, and this time for rows. I'm going to call it select rows. And case our rows. When 1, then we would like stage. And when 2, then we would like type. End. Okay. And I am going to drag select rows to my rows. And if I change the stage to type, there we go, we have it. To industry, we have it. And to stage, we have it. And this is a way that you can create dynamic heat maps on your dashboard. This you can use pretty much for anything else as well. If you are creating other types of graphs and so on, and you would like to give your end user the ability to see a certain visualization by different category rather than having one or duplicating one visualization multiple times, you can follow this method. Thank you very much, and please subscribe to my channel.